Hello and welcome to the Inspired Riding interview series. Let's take a nice deep breath together. Breathe in and breathe out. Put your hands over your heart if you like. I am so happy to kick off this Tuesday morning with Jana Wagner, one of my dear friends and incredibly talented humans and very kind. So thank you so much for being here, Jana.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, so let's start out with a fun little question here. If you were handed $10 million, what would be the first thing you would do?
So I gave this a lot of thought because I thought I used to know the answer. And then I realized what I would have answered before was kind of unfulfilling.
Oh.
So first thing I would do would be put it in a trust and make it work for me. Give it a job, get it building itself, and then I would be one of your first investors for your endeavor.
Love it.
And then I guess I would figure out the rest after that. I definitely want my own little place, and I'd love my own truck and trailer. I mean, little things like that I would love, but I also have some aspirations for cat fostering because I don't have cats.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, no, cats have always like come into my life and then gone on to someone else. Like I thought I was getting them for myself, but they needed somebody else, and I was their what's the word I want? Relocator.
Foster home to help them along their way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice. So that's beautiful.
I would like to do that because it seems to be the relationship I have with kitties.
I love that. Yeah, they're so special.
And there's a lot of animals, dogs and cats especially, that when the elderly go into assisted living, they have to have somebody signed over an agreement to take their animal should something happen to them. And so those are maybe the kind of animals I would like to focus with, just because
From a soft landing space.
Yeah, because that's going to be hard for them having the loss, but then also it can give them a nice place to stay and find them somebody else, you know.
I love that. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Cool. I learned something new about you today. That's awesome.
That's a new idea that's been percolating the last couple months.
Oh, that's brilliant. Let's make it so. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about when you first started riding. What was that experience like for you?
Like my first riding lesson?
Yeah, or just like introduction to horses, or however you want to start your beginning journey into the horse world.
I went to Quaker school, and they did a fundraising auction every year for the school, and my parents bought me a riding lesson. Okay. And I was 8 years old. I was so excited because I would like go galloping through the house and say, can I go riding? When can I go riding? I'm gonna have a horse when I'm 12. You know, I was doing all that like life planning when I was little, and it was all horses. That's all I cared about. And then, so I went for my first riding lesson, and I rode this big buckskin named Josh. And he has a really cool story because he was, you know, back in the 80s, everybody advertised in the local paper when they want to sell something. Well, my riding teacher saw this ad, registered quarter horse cheap. And she went to look at him. He was a yearling. She paid $100 for him. He used to come at you with his teeth, like nasty little colt.
Yeah.
But certainly by the time I met him, he was just this incredible, wonderful, smiling, kissing, just all around good guy. Like he did everything with a smile on his face. He was so cool.
And it's interesting that your pony smile now.
That was my favorite thing. I would love it. I'd say, hey, Josh, can I have a kiss? And he just...
Oh, that's so sweet.
And then, you know how trainers have their best horse and they don't let just anyone ride them?
Yes.
Josh was definitely Kathy's best horse, and she would be like, here, take Josh. And she let me show him a bunch. He was just an incredible partner. He was a wonderful horse.
That's awesome. What type of shows were they?
Local shows. So, you know, mostly flat classes, occasionally a hunter hack class. lots of gymkhana events. So we do like equitation on the flat and pleasure and gymkhana and trail. We did all the things.
Nice. So he was very versatile. I love that.
Oh yeah, he did everything.
So cool.
Yeah.
Are there any specific life lessons that your horses have taught you that you wanted to share today?
Horses. Beth, there's so many.
I know. You want to talk about just recently about how they helped calm you down about not riding consistently?
I do. Can you remind me? Because my memory doesn't, it's short.
Yeah, no worries.
I know I was sharing about this.
So basically, they wanted you to slow things down and do less showing, right? Especially Chip.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking recently, like this week, but yes.
Just in general, yeah.
I would say it's been the past couple of years that I had to really kind of reel myself in and reconcile with, I've always shown my whole life, and it just, it's just part of it. And Chip started having a lot of physical problems, and I didn't know if, I had made peace with myself for having a pasture ornament and not caring if I could ride him or not, but turns out I found the right people to work with, and he's doing amazing. But he let me know early last year that he did not want to show anymore. It is not what he wants to do. And so I had to reconcile all of that. There was a lot of tears. It was really hard because it was a big loss and an important part of my life. And but it's just opened up this whole other world of things that we can do together. Like this ribbon I got was for No Start November. We did an online thing, and you can do it however you want, so Chip really makes sure that I stop and breathe a lot more. He literally will not move. He'll let me climb on, but then he won't move until I breathe with him. And when I really let go of all the busy stuff in my head and all the things I want to do and all the things I have to do, and just get really quiet, it's really cool when you start breathing with your horse and you don't even realize it. And he wants this time to be about letting him show me how he wants to be ridden. He doesn't want me to think about how was he trained or what does he know. He wants to just show me. And that means I have to do a lot of waiting, which isn't always an easy thing for a human to do.
I just got chills from that, Jana.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm starting, but to honor that is huge. So I'm really proud of you.
And I'm starting to understand that impatience and waiting are not the same thing at all. I've been told a lot throughout my life that I'm impatient and I need to calm down or wait or whatever, but I'm just enthusiastic, not really impatient.
That's a good distinction. Yeah.
So, but waiting opens up and allows for things to come in. So sometimes if we go too fast at what we want to do, it just slows down. So just being willing to wait and breathe and just be really present, that's probably the biggest thing I've really come to practice consistently, is just being present. And it's so incredibly simple, and it creates such a safe space for everybody. And if you bring yourself fully into being present, you can't rush. You can't be getting ahead of yourself. If I rush around Chip, he'll swing a leg at me.
Oh, wow. He's very
He hates it. Yeah, he hates it. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's a huge life lesson. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Chip requires a very high level of presence.
As he should. He is Chip after all. He has a strong energy. So.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
So do you want to tell me a little bit about Aurora and how you met her and her transformation?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, Aurora's been really cool. She's my paint mare. I did find out that she is 22. Still don't know her registered name, but it was cool to like connect with her trainer from 3 owners ago. She belonged to a client of mine. I would go to her house and do energy work with her, and she kind of was, she wasn't abused, but she just wasn't well cared for, where my client bought her from. So we had been working with her quite a bit, doing a lot of energy work and getting her healthy. And about January last year, it got really cold and she had a bout of winter laminitis, and it helped her owner get her through that. You know, the vet too, but we all worked together, got her through that. And then everything started to unravel. It was just abscess, laminitis, abscess, laminitis. Like, I'm not exaggerating. It was that many. Just kept coming, and we didn't seem to be able to get ahead of it. Meanwhile, my client's having some physical problems, and she can't physically bend down to change the horse's boots and put them on and off and do all that extra care that laminitic feet need. And she called me up and said, so I've been giving it a lot of thought. Do you want Aurora? I'd like to give her to you. And I was like, oh my gosh, really? Okay. She goes, well, I think you should ask Chip and then get back to me and, you know, think about it and get back to me. And I had been having an intuition that I was going to get another horse last year. And I knew of a few that were available. And I kept asking Chip, is it this one? He'd go, okay, not that one. Is it this one? And I finally, the day I asked him about Aurora, he just looked at me so intently and was like, she's the one.
How so beautiful to get that confirmation too.
Yeah, it was amazing. So she really struggled for quite a while, and I guess she became mine in May. And then it was still like 2 months before we could get her comfortable enough to move her. And meanwhile, I found an incredible vet. She's younger, she's into everything, you know, everything. So when I told her, you know, I'm an animal communicator, she was like, yeah, cool. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. And I was like, yay.
Yeah.
And I made a list out of everybody that's helped me with her. Just, it's incredible when you start to reach out and you start to put your intention out that you need help with this project horse and to help her heal. And you start to get answers and different perspectives from different people. There's got to be 15 people on that list that helped me. You know, Sherry, who's in this group, I talked to her about temperament typing because that helped me understand the element angle, and some herbals and some things that her element would take to that would support her body. I talked to another client who does her own kind of healing, and she told me straight flat out, you have to stop worrying. This horse will only keep taking that on and stay sick. So I had to just drop that immediately.
That's huge. That's huge to let that go.
Yeah, and when you have a mare that's been a mother, she's going to pick up worry and carry that for you.
Oh yeah.
And then, you know, there's a woman in Australia I work with who really helped. Aurora tried to die on us. I'm not exaggerating. She tried to leave. And the woman in Australia said one day, she goes, this is the weirdest thing. You're going to think I'm nuts. I'm like, look who you're talking to. And she said she needs to reconnect with her ancestors. And I said, okay. She goes, give me a minute. I don't know how to do this. I have to figure it out.
Wow.
Because Aurora was in so much pain that she was walking everywhere by backing up. She didn't even want to walk forward on her feet.
Oh, wow.
We did get a PSSM type 1 diagnosis, which has been huge because that's the easy one to feed. So even what we changed her food to back in like June, July, I've completely changed at this point because she is really clear and direct and will give me ideas and a lot of really great guidance about what she needs when. And it's so, if you've ever sat and talked to your horse about their food, it's so interesting because she keeps saying, for this season, I need this. When spring comes, you need to take that away. It'll be too much. I need this.
Well, I'm so eager to do that with you tomorrow. We have a session for my horses.
Yeah. So it's,
go back to the ancestor part.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, that was amazing. So Zarna's the woman I work with, and when she worked her magic that she does, that even I don't know how she does it. Aurora was literally going backwards, and then all of a sudden she stopped and started to walk forward. And we were like, okay, so what did you do? She said, I just helped her reconnect with her people.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was really cool. So Aurora started walking forward again. And,
wow.
You know, there were just so many things that we had to work through. But it's been an incredible education, and bringing a horse through a severe laminitis, you know, a recurring one that we didn't think we could get a handle on. And one day I went out and she was laying down and I was like, not today. You're not, you know, today is not your day. Get up. And I just knew, because there are a couple times her owner and I were like, you know, do we need to have a conversation? Is this fair what we're doing? And we just both knew this horse was not ready to go. She just was hurting that much.
Now she's running in the snow and you're riding her lightly.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I never thought that I would get permission to start walking on her in the end of July. I mean, she could still barely walk beginning of July, and she just had this like 180. So yeah, 2 weeks ago with the snow, I asked my horses, like, can we ride today? The weather was a little funny, but they're like, yeah, cool. So I went and put my helmet on, took the halter out, I had the halter like this, and they both went, uh-oh, and took off. And I was like, oh, maybe not. Maybe this is not a good idea. So I got my video out because I'm like, I wonder if I walk down there, if they'll run again. That'll be fun to get on video. Well, I went down, Aurora's eyes popped out of her head. She snorted at me. I was like, okay, run. Like I encouraged her. Boom.
Hard to believe it was the same horse. When we all saw this video in our private group, we were like, look at her go. You know, and she had so much trouble just taking one step and she's just galloping around. We're like, this is amazing, this transformation. Yeah.
Yeah. And so many people, when I got her, said, well, what are you going to do with her? Because isn't that how we're kind of programmed to think of our horses? Well, what am I going to do with them? Yeah. And I would just go, I don't know, whatever she wants. I just wanted her.
I love that answer. Yeah.
I said she gets to decide. That was a huge life lesson for me too, because it just seemed really simple. And then, you know, I was talking to a friend and she goes, so let me ask you something. If you are allowing her to have whatever she wants, do you think you could do that for yourself? And I just was like, she's right.
That's huge.
Yeah. And a lot of things have shifted for me in really beautiful ways. And it's just so incredible. I did move Chip from the farm I was boarding for like 6 years to a new farm because it doesn't make sense to have horses in two places. And I needed a really quiet place for Aurora to heal. And I needed Chip there to help me, you know, help me help her, because she just was really missing that horse connection that I knew that he could offer her.
They get along beautifully, don't they?
really lucky when we think about how we take the horses away from their families, and then we teach, they do all these things for us, and then we give them new families and then more new families. And their resilience is just incredible. And I'm just so grateful that they get along so well, because that's not a guarantee either.
Exactly.
I mean, Chip still thinks one of the other mares at the farm is really, really pretty.
You've got a crush, huh?
He will blow off his friend Aurora for Lucky, but
that's fair. Well, Aurora's like his sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So cute. Oh my goodness. So let's see. I've gone through a lot of these questions by default.
Oh, funny.
Can you describe one of your best riding lessons?
Yeah, all my riding lessons with you. I'm not just saying that. It's been really fun to be in the Brave in the Saddle program, because a lot of like the modules and the way they're layering, I'm like, we did that in my lesson. I remember really clearly that day when you were helping me with motivating Chip, because he's Western pleasure bred, so he's not a fast horse, and he doesn't motivate unless there's a bird in the bush to scare him. But you were saying to ask myself or think of an idea of an exercise I wanted to do, and then drop it down into my heart and ask if that felt like a good exercise to do. And then to drop that down into my horse's heart and ask him if he thought that was a good idea. And I just love how that kind of comes together. And as you practice it, it becomes really instantaneous. And then your horse starts to go, oh, we're going to do this. And you just really get this dialogue going that's so subtle. And it sure beats spurs and a dressage whip and nagging at them to go forward. You know, if you just really practice connecting in that way and sharing ideas, they're just so much more engaged and happy to work with you.
For connection. And I was so proud of you that you got it right away. And Chip was like, yes, let's do this. You know?
He loves that. So like when he doesn't want to walk around, but he'll let me sit on him and we breathe, and then I do a bit of Tai Chi, and he just loves it when I'm done sort of cultivating all that energy, and I just lay my hands on him. He's just like, oh yeah.
I love that. And that was just something intuitively I thought of while I was teaching you. I'm like, why don't you share it with him? And then that became your routine now, and I love that. So that was really
yeah. And it just brings another moment of bringing yourself present. That's one of the big things that I've learned from my horses recently, is that I'm really practiced at being present on the ground, doing chores, working around them. But as soon as I was getting on their back, I was switching into, I used to exercise ride, so I had to get a lot of stuff done. I was switching into not being so present, and I was kind of like,
trainer mode. Yeah.
What are we gonna do today? You know, busy brain. And so they said, so I started to ask them, how do I bring that onto your back? What would you suggest? And Chip said, that's why I stop. That's why when you get on and you say start walking, he's like, nope, I'm gonna stand here until you get it right.
So good.
Yeah,
I love it.
And Chip has opened up too. Like, we've always had a really great relationship from day one, when I met him. But since we moved and added Aurora, like the dynamics just changed, because the pressure is off both of us, and we have more, another one to share with. And he, you know, all of a sudden he started being more direct and more clear, like Aurora is. You know, he followed her lead and he feels safer. And it's wonderful to know that he feels safer, because he would tell me he was fine at the other place, but you know, your intuition knows when he was fine. He wasn't great, he was fine. And I would say now he's much closer to great than before. He's just so happy.
Love it. I love seeing the three of you together. It's just, it brings my heart such joy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We really have to be brave to make changes. Like moving was really hard for me, as you know, as we talked about it a lot. When you're in a place a long time, it's hard to make that change, but wow, has it just opened up our world like I never even imagined.
So glad you moved there and found a safe space for all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the best part is I went back to the place I took my first riding lesson is where I went back to. So it's like I've come full circle and gone back home, if you will.
That is really cool. Oh my goodness. Jen, is there anything else that you wanted to share that I didn't ask you yet?
Not really.
Okay. And if you could, I like this one question. Hold on, I need to. No, it's running away. Sorry. Okay. If you could create a billboard for the horse world, what would it say?
It would either say, be present, or something to the effect of be present, listen, connect, or, like my dog's always telling me, step back, reflect. And just a really good thing to remember is to, like you were saying the other day, give ourselves more grace. And rather than looking at backslide as a failure or a bad thing, you need it. You need the quiet time. You need the presence to take in everything that's going on around you and really process it. And there's so many things coming at us. We have to give ourselves that space to process. And horses just hold that space because their energy is so massive. It's like going in a big bubble of safety and quiet and presence. That they really give us that space. So something like that.
I like that.
And I think the horse world is really moving in a direction of listening a lot more. And people need to listen a lot more. And listening's not easy, but it's a skill that is invaluable.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm so grateful for this group that people are attracted to that and they're moving towards that more. So
yeah,
it's really, really wonderful to see this evolve.
Yeah. I know I've completely changed how I am with my horses, even in the last 3 years. And I've been at it since I was 8.
Same here. It's amazing that we both started riding lessons at 8 years old.
That is really cool.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jana. I really appreciate it. And I loved hearing all of your insights. And I really hope that everyone watching this got a lot out of it as much as I did. So please put in the comments, of course, what you thought about it. And just remember, if you're interested in learning more about working with me, you can reach out anytime. Just look at my website, inspiredriding.com. So thanks again, and may the horse be with you always.